Han Jin-hyuk had everything North Korea's system could offer: a 28th floor apartment, white rice, when millions went hungry, and a diplomatic passport that took him around the world. As deputy director of the Foreign Ministry's Asia-Pacific Bureau, he believed in the system he served. Then one trip to Beijing changed everything, and the man who enforced the rules became the man who broke them at the cost of the family he left behind. This is the story of a true insider who walked away from power to tell the truth. Join us in standing up for human rights. Subscribe to hear more stories of freedom and ring the notification bell so you never miss one. It all began in a Pyongyang apartment on Gwangbok Street, 28 floors up, one of the few buildings in the city where the elevator actually worked. My name is Han Jin-hyuk. I was deputy director of the Asia-Pacific Bureau at the North Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Every morning I woke to the smell of doenjang, jjigae, Korean fermented soybean stew that my wife Sujin made from scratch. Our table always had white rice. Not mixed grain, not corn porridge. Actual white rice. In a city where most families couldn't find a single cup of it, we received 30 kilograms every month through a special government ration. Eggs came once a week. Cooking oil, sugar, all of it. Far more than ordinary citizens ever saw. "Honey, are you packed for Beijing?" Sujin asked. It was October 2023, the night before I left. That's what life as a diplomat looked like. 3 or 4 trips a year, China, Russia, back to back. Conferences, and each trip meant a little foreign currency on the side. A cut went to the party, of course. But even after that, our family lived better than almost anyone in Pyongyang. North Korea had just reopened after its COVID lockdown. 3 years of sealed borders. You think the pandemic was hard where you lived? In North Korea, it was something else entirely. When Chinese goods stopped flowing in, ordinary people couldn't find a single kilogram of corn at the market. Not for any price. But families like ours, the party looked after us. My son Jinwoo had graduated from Kim Il-sung University and was working in the party's propaganda and agitation department. My daughter Minseo was majoring in Gyeogum, a traditional Korean zither at the Pyongyang University of Music and Dance. Both of them were on the right path. The kind of path that doesn't disappear overnight. Every evening, the family gathered around the TV. State broadcasts showed the supreme leader inspecting factories, visiting farms, and then the reports on South Korea: chaos, poverty, inequality. I believed it. Or maybe I needed to believe it. If you spent your whole life being told you live in the greatest country on earth, it's easier to accept than to question. My mother was 78. She lived with us. She had fled south from Hamgyong province during the Korean War. She'd look at our dinner table and say, "Jin-hyuk, in my day, we didn't have any of this. You kids have it so good." She meant it. And at the time, so did I. On weekends, I'd get together with fellow diplomats along the Taedong River, Pyongyang. Soju, Taedong beer, and long debates about world affairs. America's rattling the sanctions cage again. China's economy is on another level these days. Standard table talk. But something small had started to shift. Something I couldn't quite name. Every time I came back from Beijing, the gap felt wider. New skyscrapers. Electric cars gliding silently down every boulevard. People paying for coffee with a glance at their phone. QR codes everywhere. Pyongyang, by comparison, hadn't moved. Or maybe it had gone backward. Sujin, China's changing so fast. You think we'll ever get there? She was quiet for a moment. Then softly, "I hope so." Not "of course we will." Not "we're on our way." Just "I hope so." Something in her voice gave me pause. But neither of us pushed it. There were questions in North Korea you learned not to ask, not because you couldn't think them, but because thinking them too loud could cost you everything. Winter came to Pyongyang in 2023. The first snow-dusted Gwangbok Street white. I stood at our apartment window and watched it fall. Everything looked peaceful. Nothing looked wrong. That quiet, it was the kind that comes before something breaks. In October 2023, I flew to Beijing as part of an official delegation from the Foreign Ministry for talks with the Chinese side. The moment I walked out of the terminal, at Capital International Airport, I stopped. 3 years. That's how long it had been. Beijing was unrecognizable. The airport itself had been rebuilt, vaulted ceilings, biometric gates, facial recognition that cleared you through without a word. I caught myself muttering under my breath. Back in Pyongyang's Sunan Airport, they still stamped everything by hand. The taxi ride into the city was worse in the best way. More than half the cars on the road were electric. Silent. The streets gleamed. Every building had a massive LED screen running. And every single person was staring at a phone that made Mine, the North Korean-made Pyongyang handset, looked like something from a museum. During a break in the meetings, a Chinese counterpart handed me a coffee and asked, almost casually, "Director Han, how's Pyongyang doing? Recovering well after COVID?" I didn't know how to answer. Recovering? Pyongyang was exactly as I'd left it 3 years ago. If anything, things had gotten harder. But I couldn't say that. Under the party's leadership, we're managing well. The words came out clean, but I knew they were a lie. The strange part was how easily they came. That evening, at a banquet in a high-end Beijing restaurant, I watched my Chinese host pay for a round of drinks with one tap of a phone. No cash. No card. One tap. Are we really living in the same era? I thought. Back at the hotel, I did something I'd never done before. I opened a browser cautiously, aware that even restricted internet access in China left traces, and typed North Korea economy. My hands weren't steady when I read what came up. 70% of North Korean population facing food shortages. Rice prices surge at Jangmadang markets ordinary citizens in survival crisis. COVID lockdown sets North Korean economy back 30 years. While I'd been eating white rice in Pyongyang, people in the provinces were surviving on grass porridge. While I'd been collecting egg rations, children were collapsing from malnutrition. I'd known things were hard. Not like this. The room felt smaller. 28 years as a diplomat. And what had I actually been doing? Serving the system, enjoying its privileges, looking away from the fact that those privileges were built on millions of people suffering. The next morning, walking to the conference hall, I watched the Beijing commuters, families ducking into restaurants for breakfast, children heading to school. Nobody special. No rank, no party membership, no ration card. Just people living ordinary lives freely. A week later, I landed back in Pyongyang. Coming out of the terminal felt like stepping through a time warp. Dim lighting, chipped walls, faces locked tight. In the taxi home, I noticed how gaunt people looked. 3 years of isolation had worn them down, especially anyone outside the party system. "I'm home," I said, opening the front door. Sujin was there. Dinner was on the table, white rice, meat dishes, the usual. But that night I couldn't eat. "What's wrong? Are you sick?" "No, just tired." I couldn't tell her. Not yet. Couldn't say everything we have is sitting on top of someone else's pain. We're not special. The system just decided to feed us first. That night I lay awake for hours. The articles kept replaying. 70% facing food shortages. I could hear the phrase looping. Sujin was asleep beside me. The kids were in their rooms. My mother was in hers. But somewhere in this country, at this very hour, there were people who couldn't sleep from hunger. Children shivering through the night. That was the moment everything I'd believed for. 28 years began to crack. I didn't hear it break all at once. It was quieter than that, a slow, steady sound, like ice giving way underfoot. The new year arrived. Pyongyang felt heavier than I'd ever known it. The party called for a new revolutionary surge, but the air on the streets was just cold. One morning in January, I arrived at the foreign ministry to find clusters of colleagues huddled in the corridors, speaking in near whispers. "Did you hear? Director Kim from the Finance Bureau." "Shh, keep it down." Director Kim was a deputy-level official like me, 20 years on the China desk. A veteran, then overnight gone. His whole family, too. A few days later, at a party meeting, the official explanation came: mismanagement of foreign currency and acts of betrayal against the party. No specifics, but we all knew. Someone had accused him of skimming money during his China trips. My stomach dropped. I'd done small transactions during my own trips abroad, legal ones. But legal in North Korea is whatever the party decides. It is, and if they decide to review your file, the definition can change overnight. "Jin Hyuk, you doing okay?" Park, a deputy director from my department, stopped me in the hallway. His voice was careful. "What do you mean? You've been on China duty a long time. The mood lately. It's not normal." Fear was written all over him. We were in the same boat. We looked at each other without saying more and both nodded a small, silent acknowledgement that we both understood the danger. By February, the purge had spread beyond our ministry. Party-wide. Foreign currency departments were under investigation. Officials were vanishing one after another. Then one evening my phone rang. "State Security. Comrade Han Jin-hyuk, report to our office at 10 tomorrow morning. We have a few things to verify." I sat motionless after I hung up. State Security. For those of you who don't know, this is North Korea's secret police, its intelligence apparatus. A summons from them is never routine. Sujin looked at my face. What happened? I have to go to state security tomorrow. The color drained from her face. We sat across from each other in silence. Neither of us needed to say it out loud. We both knew this could be the beginning of the end. That night I went to my mother's room. She was sitting up in bed reading her Bible, the one she kept hidden. Religion is banned in North Korea, but she'd held on to her faith for decades, quietly in secret. Mom, what is it, son? Nothing. Take care of yourself. She took my hand. Her skin was paper thin, but her grip was warm. Something's wrong. Don't hide it from your mother. I'm fine. I promise. A lie. I wasn't fine. But I couldn't load that weight onto a 78-year-old woman. The next morning, state security. 3rd floor. I sat in a cold plastic chair and waited 2 hours. Then the interrogation began. Comrade Han Jinyuk, between 2020 and 2023, our records show 11 trips to China. Walk us through each one. Official meetings and consultations. Any personal transactions? Nothing beyond what was reported to the party. The investigator flipped through a stack of papers. There's a record of contact with a Korean-Chinese businessman in Beijing. A work-related meeting. Did he give you money? No. All true. But my voice was shaking and I knew it sounded exactly like someone lying. 4 hours. The same questions circling back, rephrased, coming from different angles. They were hunting for a slip. I got home after 9 that night, hollowed out. How did it go? Sujin asked. I don't know. For now. I think it's okay. I didn't believe that. March. Another colleague vanished Chief Choi from the Europe desk. Same charge, foreign currency mismanagement. Walking the office corridor, a single thought followed me. Who's next? When does my name come up? The nightmares started. The interrogation room. That cold chair. Those eyes. I'd wake soaked in sweat. One night, Sujin said it quietly. What's going to happen to us? I had no answer. But one thing had become clear. We couldn't hold out much longer. My turn was coming. And when it came, I'd disappear the same way. Chief Kim had, without warning, without appeal, without a trace. Fear stopped being something I felt occasionally. It became the air I breathed. Every phone call. Every time someone said my name in the hallway, my heart would seize. Spring arrived. My chest was still frozen. A phone call before dawn. I checked the clock. 5 a.m. It's me, Park. His voice was barely holding together. Chief Choi. He was executed. Public firing squad. Yesterday, I nearly dropped the phone. Choi had been a mentor. 15 years working side by side, gone in a single morning before anyone could react. What was the charge? Anti-party, anti-revolutionary activity. That's all I know. Jinyuk, be careful. We're next. I can feel it. After I hung up, I sat in the dark without moving. Sujin woke and asked who'd called. I told her. She pressed both hands over her mouth. We sat together in silence for a long time. No words were needed. We both knew we were no longer safe. From that morning on, my mind held only one thought. Survive. 28 years of loyalty to the party couldn't protect me now. The position, the prestige, it had all become a noose around my neck. In early May, the Foreign Ministry notified me. I was scheduled to travel to Beijing on May 21st for economic cooperation talks with the Chinese side. The thought hit me like a lightning strike. This is the last door. Take it or it closes forever. That night, Sujin and I sat alone after the kids had gone to sleep. Listen to me. What is it? You're scaring me. When we go to Beijing, we don't come back. Her eyes went wide. A long silence. Then, barely above a whisper, you mean, defect. I nodded. Tears ran down her face. What about the children? What about your mother? We can't take them. It's just the two of us on this trip. If we try to bring the kids, we all die. She was sobbing. So was I. There was no other path. What do we tell them? What do I say to my mother? We lie. We say it's a 2-week trip. We say we'll be back. We cried all night. Jinwoo, 25. Minseo, 22. My mother, 78. We were going to leave them. You saw what happened to Chief Choi. If we stay, that's us. And if we die, the kids have nothing. We survive, that's how they survive. I was trying to convince myself as much as I was convincing her. The preparations began. I had about $10,000 in foreign currency hidden away, and a phone number, a Korean-Chinese broker I'd met years earlier in Beijing, whose contact I'd kept tucked in the back of my wallet just in case. May 15th. 1 week before departure, I went to my mother's room. Mom, I'm going to China next week on business. Again? You're always running off somewhere. It's just 2 weeks. I'll be back before you know it. She took my hand. Take care of yourself, son. I'll be praying for you. Yes, Mom. At the door, I turned back. She had already opened her Bible, lips moving softly, praying for me. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I said it only inside. May 18th. My son Jinwoo stopped by. Dad safe travels to Beijing. I've got my promotion review next month. Come home to good news, okay? His face was open, bright, completely unguarded. I know you'll do great. I believe in you. He smiled as he left. He had no idea it was the last time he'd ever see me standing in that hallway. May 21st before dawn. Minseo walked us to the door. Mom, Dad, come home safe. And don't forget my gift. We won't. Sujin pulled her into a hug and held her too long. Minseo pulled back and gave her a look. Mom, what's going on? You'll be back in 2 weeks. I know. I'll miss you. Outside in the taxi, Sujin wept without making a sound. I stared out the window and let the tears fall. Are we doing the right thing? She asked. Yes, we have to. I didn't feel sure. I don't think a parent leaving their children behind can ever feel sure. The city slid past the window one last time. The Taedong River, Gwangbok Street. 28 years of my life, right out there beyond the glass. Somewhere beneath those rooftops, my mother was asleep. My children were asleep. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The plane lifted off the runway. Pyongyang shrank below us, smaller than gone. We landed in Beijing at 2 in the afternoon. Walking through passport control, my legs were barely cooperating. Had Pyongyang already sent word? Were agents waiting on the other side? Nobody stopped us. The stamp hit my passport. Sujin and I caught each other's eyes, the same look, the same understanding. Now it starts. In the taxi, I bought a Chinese phone and powered down the one I'd brought from North Korea. It could be tracked. From the new phone, I called the number I'd been carrying for years. Hello? It was Mr. Kim, the Korean-Chinese broker I'd met during a trip 5 years before. This is Han Jin-hyuk. Do you remember me? Director Han, it's been a long time. What can I do for you? Something urgent has come up. Can we meet? A careful pause. Then is this that kind of situation? We both knew what that kind meant. Yes. Okay. 7 o'clock tonight. A restaurant in Chaoyang. I'll send you the address. Come carefully. I canceled my evening commitments with the delegation, told them I had a personal errand. Risky, but unavoidable. At 7, mister. Kim was already there. Your wife is with you. Both of us are going. And your children? Left behind. He nodded and didn't press. This wasn't his first time. 5,000 per person. 10,000 total for both of you. Every dollar we had. You'll go through Thailand. It's dangerous, but right now it's the safest route. I can move you within a week. Thank you. He leaned forward. Director Han, they won't sit still. Not for someone at your level. We need to move fast. He was right. The next morning, Pyongyang called. My own office. Where are you, Director? The preparatory session is today, didn't you know? I'm sorry. I've been feeling unwell. Staying at the hotel. Are you taking anything for it? Yes. I should be fine by tomorrow. More calls came that afternoon. More that evening. Each one sharper than the last. On the third day, it broke open. 10 in the morning. The Cadres Bureau. Comrade Han Jin-hyuk. Return to Pyongyang immediately. We've booked you on the 6 o'clock flight this evening. This is a direct order. The line went dead. Sujin watched my face. They're ordering you home? Yes. What are we going to do? We're not going. I shut off the phone. That was the moment it became permanent. There was no version of this story where I went back. I was a traitor now. A fugitive. The country I'd served for 28 years had just finished with me. I called Mr. Kim immediately. We need to move now. They've ordered me home. Got it. Tomorrow morning, before dawn. Be ready. That night I watched the window without blinking. Every set of footsteps in the corridor made me flinch. Chinese police, North Korean agents. I was jumping at shadows. Sujin was crying. What's going to happen to our kids? I couldn't answer. In North Korea, the families of defectors don't get left alone. The children pay for the parents' choices. Jinwoo, Minseo, my mother. I'm sorry, Sujin. I'm so sorry. We were awake until morning. 4 a.m. Mr. Kim knocked on our door. We have to move before the police stir. Let's go. No luggage. Passport, money, that was it. I tore my diplomatic ID in half and dropped it in the bin. That card had been my whole identity for 28 years. Now it was a liability. In the car heading to the outer ring of the city, Mr. Kim handed us each a passport, my photo, a different name, Kim Cheolsu, a common Korean Chinese name. Don't tense up at security. You're a tourist. That's all. We reached the airport at 6. The terminal was still thin with early travelers. I'll leave you here. Mr. Kim extended his hand. Good luck. He was practically a stranger, but he'd just saved our lives. Thank you. Truly. When you get to South Korea, live well. And those family members you left behind, he paused. Someday, I believe you'll find them again. I walked toward the departure gate. The security officer took the forged passport and studied it. Long. Too long. Cold sweat. Then she stamped it and handed it back. Have a good trip. We were through. At the gate, Sujin gripped my arm. We're really doing this. We're really going. There's no going back now. The plane lifted off. Through the window, Beijing fell away below. Past that horizon somewhere was Pyongyang. My children were there. My mother was there. Tears wouldn't stop. Freedom was waiting. But my chest had a hole in it the size of everything I'd left behind. Bangkok was 95F and humid when we landed at 3 that afternoon. A local broker connected to us through Mr. Kim was waiting near the exit. 3 days before I can get you to the South Korean embassy. Until then, you need to stay hidden. A small guest house. 1 room, 2 beds. That was it. For 28 years, I'd traveled on a diplomatic passport, stayed in 4-star hotels, been treated like someone who mattered. Now I was a man in a room, waiting, hoping no one knocked on the door. But I wasn't complaining. Being alive was enough. That night, I searched on my phone. North Korean Diplomat defects. News was already out, multiple foreign outlets running the story. Senior North Korean Foreign Ministry official disappears during China trip. Diplomat couple suspected of defection family. Under investigation in North Korea. That last sentence. Family under investigation. I showed Sujin the screen. The sound she made wasn't quite a scream. Our children. What's happening to our children? They'll be forcibly relocated. Probably to a remote county in North Hamgyong province. North Hamgyong. As far from Pyongyang as you can get. Winters that dropped to 20 below zero. Jinwoo's party career finished. Min Seo's university life over. Sujin collapsed onto the floor and wept. I couldn't hold it together either. We had bought our own survival at our children's expense. The next morning, the broker returned with bad news. There's a problem. Chinese police are mobilizing. North Korea's issued a warrant for both of you. At your level, they're not going to let this go quietly. How do you know? Word through the Korean-Chinese network. We need to move not in 3 days. Tomorrow. That second night in Bangkok was the longest of my life. Every footstep outside the door made my heart stop. Every shadow under the door made me hold my breath. 4A. M. The broker knocked. A cab will take you to the embassy gate. After that, you go in alone. Bangkok was just waking up as we drove through it. Street vendors setting up. People heading to work. Children going to school. They don't know how lucky they are, I thought. To just live without being watched. At 9 in the morning, we stopped in front of the South Korean embassy. Above the high wall, the South Korean flag was visible, its red and blue against white. My legs stopped working. Come on. Go, Sujin urged. If we walk through that gate, it's over. No going back. There was never any going back. Go. She took my hand. The guard at the gate. What's your business? We came from North Korea. We want to become citizens of the Republic of Korea. My voice broke on that last word. The guard's eyes went wide. He picked up his radio. A moment later, an embassy official came out. Please come inside. The gate closed behind us. My knees buckled. Sujin nearly went down with me. We held each other up. You've made it. You're safe now. Those words hit like a wave. Sujin and I held on to each other and wept. We made it. We actually made it. Inside, someone brought us hot tea. For 28 years, I'd been taught that South Koreans were enemies, adversaries, rivals, people to be wary of. I hadn't expected kindness. We'll need to verify your identity. What was your role in North Korea? Deputy Director, Asia Pacific Bureau, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The room got quiet for a moment. That's a senior-level defection. The media will want this story. I don't want media attention. I want to live quietly. We understand. We'll protect you as best we can. I spent a week at the embassy. While the South Korean government processed our entry, every day I checked the North Korean news looking for any mention of my family. It came. North Korean state television, The family of traitor Han Jinhyuk has received the stern judgment of the people. My name on state TV, and my family punished, relocated. The specifics weren't given, but the message was clear. Sujin watched the screen. Our children. Our children. There were no words for it. Giving up my title, my rank, my career, I could live with all of that. But what I'd done to my children, that would stay with me until I died. I'm sorry, Jinwoo. I'm sorry, Minseo. Dad is sorry. I said it to an empty room. No one answered. A week later, we boarded a plane for South Korea. The flight attendant smiled at us. Below, Thailand fell away. Somewhere beyond the horizon was China. Beyond that, North Korea. My children were somewhere in that direction. My mother was there. Will we ever see them again? Sujin asked. We have to. When reunification comes, we'll see them again. I wanted to believe it. I wasn't sure I did. 3 hours later, the wheels touched down at Incheon International Airport, the Republic of Korea. Our new home. May 28, 2024, Incheon Airport. My legs were shaking as we walked into the arrivals hall. I kept telling myself, you're standing on South Korean soil. This is real. At the gate, a Ministry of Unification official took over our entry, a separate corridor, a small office, 2 staff members waiting, a man and a woman, both around 40. Han Jinhyuk and Choi Sujin, welcome to the Republic of Korea. That did it. Tears I'd been holding for weeks. Welcome. I'd expected interrogation. I'd expected suspicion. I hadn't expected welcome. You'll go through a security screening, then proceed to Hanawon. What's Hanawon? The Settlement Support Center for North Korean defectors. 3 months of orientation how to live here. Banking, transportation, smartphones. A car took us to Hanawon, tucked into the hills of Gyeonggi Province. High walls outside, but clean and modern inside. More than I'd expected. During your time here, you'll learn everything you need. ATMs, public transit, how to use a Korean bank account. Sujin and I were assigned a small shared room. A bed, a desk, a TV. Try the TV, Sujin said. She flipped through channels. News, dramas, variety shows, advertisements for products I'd never heard of. In North Korea, you watched what the state chose to show you. Here, there was just everything. It's bizarre, she said softly. The next morning, classes began. About 20 other defectors in our group, different ages, different backgrounds, different stories. First lesson, smartphones. This is the App Store. You can download whatever you need. Whatever you need. I sat with that for a moment. In North Korea, you used only state-approved apps. That was the only option. There's a platform called YouTube. You can watch videos from anywhere in the world. I typed Pyongyang into the search bar. Hundreds of results came back. Testimonies from defectors. Street footage of Pyongyang. Documentaries on daily life in the North. Things that would have gotten someone executed for filming. Then I found a video. The thumbnail read, Families of Defected Diplomat Punished. My hand hovered over the screen. I tapped it. My name appeared in the narration. My family had been forcibly relocated to a rural county in North Hamgyong Province. The air left my lungs. Look at this, I told Sujin. Hamgyong Province, she whispered. They sent our kids somewhere that cold? I pulled up a satellite map and searched the area. Mountains in every direction. A cluster of small villages, gray and snowbound even in the satellite images. Somewhere in those pixels my children were living out the consequences of my choices. Sujin slid down the wall and sat on the floor. We deserve whatever punishment God gives us, she said. If we'd stayed, we couldn't have protected them anyway. The investigations had already started. I was telling myself that more than I was telling her. Month 2. Social media. Facebook, Instagram, Kakao Talk, these are the major platforms. I asked the instructor, is there any chance someone in North Korea would be on these? Almost impossible. Ordinary citizens have no internet access. I knew that. I asked anyway. That night, I searched Instagram for Pyongyang. Then I typed in my children's names. Han Jinwoo, Han Minsiu. Nothing. Of course nothing. But I searched every night, just in case. Month 3. Banking. The caseworker handed me a bank book. Your resettlement funds have been deposited. I looked at the balance. More than 8 million won. All of this is mine? From the government. Initial settlement support. I couldn't speak for a moment. I'd served a country for 28 years and been handed nothing but titles and fear. This country, which I'd arrived in with nothing, had just given me a foundation. Thank you. I mean it. Graduation ceremony. The director addressed us. Congratulations. Go forward and live with pride as citizens of the Republic of Korea. I cried again. Citizens of the Republic of Korea. That phrase. For the first time in my life, it applied to me. After Hanawon, Sujin and I rented a small studio in Seoul. The resettlement funds covered the deposit. 1 floor up. Tiny. Ours. Our own place, Sujin said. Yes, ours. But when night came, the silence pressed in, just the two of us. No footsteps down the hall. No Jinwoo's voice carrying from his room. No Minso practicing kayagum. No sound of my mother turning pages. Sujin stood at the window crying. Did we do the right thing? I still don't have an answer. I'm not sure I ever will. We'd won freedom. We'd lost half of ourselves in the process. That night I looked north. Out past the lights of Seoul, somewhere past that horizon, my children existed. Were they looking at the same sky? I'm sorry, Jinwoo. Minseo. Mom. Dad is so sorry. No answer came. 6 months in South Korea. It's November 2024 and I'm facing my first Seoul winter. The first thing that knocked me sideways when I arrived wasn't the highways or the skyscrapers. It was a convenience store. Open at 3 in the morning. Everything you could possibly want on the shelves. I went in one night because I couldn't sleep and realized I was hungry. The cashier greeted me with a full smile. I picked up a triangle kimbap rice and seaweed pressed into a neat triangle. A cup of ramen, a drink. Paid with a card the size of my palm, I ate sitting on the curb outside and started crying. That a person could be hungry at 3 a.m. and just walk somewhere and fix it. Without ration cards, without standing in line, without knowing someone in the party, I couldn't get my head around it. The internet was something else. Every night I searched for news from North Hamgyong province. I found videos, grainy footage. Someone had risked their life to record and smuggle out. Gaunt figures on frozen streets, crumbling houses, children in thin coats. Somewhere in those images mine were living. Sujin did the same thing. Every night, phone in hand, searching. What are you looking at? Photos of the kids. She turned her screen toward me. Our family in Pyongyang before any of this. Jinwoo and Minseo smiling in the apartment on Gwangbok Street. Will we find them again? When reunification comes. We keep saying that. I don't know when it will be true. I started looking for work. 28 years in foreign affairs, none of it translatable. North Korean diplomatic experience? That's not something we can count as a credential here. I heard that in every interview. I understood. What would a North Korean resume mean to anyone here? Eventually, I found work as a Mandarin instructor. $150 a month in today's dollars, a fraction of what my position had provided, but I'd earned every cent of it. No strings. No obligations to the party. Mine. The day my first paycheck came in, I took Sujin to dinner. What do you want? Kimchi jjigae. 2 bowls. Right away. We ordered. They brought the food. Hot, sharp, red, perfect. I took 1 spoonful and felt it burn going down. Then I started crying again. Why are you crying now? Because this is what it feels like. That's all. This is what freedom feels like. Ordering what you want. Going where you want. Saying what you think without calculating the cost first. That's the whole thing, really. That's all it is. A human rights organization reached out and asked if I'd be willing to speak. We need voices at your level. The public needs to hear from someone who was inside the system. My first instinct was no. I wanted to disappear into ordinary life. But then I thought about Jinwoo, Minseo, my mother. If I went silent, what had any of it been for? I said yes. My first speaking event, about 100 people in the audience. I stood at the front and felt the room go quiet. My name is Han Jin-hyuk. I served as Deputy Director of the Asia-Pacific Bureau at the North Korean Foreign Ministry for 28 years. I believed in the system. I served it. And then I understood the privileges I'd enjoyed were paid for by the suffering of millions of people I never let myself see. My voice held. My children are still in North Korea. Because I fled, they were sent to a remote mountain county in North Hamgyong province. I think about them every single night. Someone in the 3rd row was wiping her eyes. The people of North Korea are ordinary human beings. They want freedom. They love their families. They want to live without fear. They deserve the chance. After the talk, an older woman came up to me. She took both my hands in hers. I'm from a divided family too. My relatives were separated from us during the Korean War. Listening to you, I thought of my parents. Her voice cracked. Our generation has to see reunification. We have to. We do, I said. We have to. These days I volunteer with a North Korean defector settlement program. I sit with people who've just arrived and I tell them what I know. The beginning is hard for everyone, but here what you put in, you get back. That's the deal. Yesterday, a young man asked me, "Do you regret it? Leaving your family behind?" I thought for a long time. Every day. I regret it every day. But if I were standing at that same decision again, I'd make the same choice. Surviving was the only way any of us had a chance. He nodded slowly. Every night I still look north. Jinwo, Minseo, Mom, I miss you. I wonder how cold it is where you are. I wonder if you're eating enough. I take out my phone and find the photo. All 5 of us in the Pyongyang apartment. A picture I'll never be able to take again. I'm sorry. And I love you. I tell them that to the screen. Someday there will be a day when the border dissolves, when people can move freely between North and South, when families torn apart by politics and fear can finally find each other again. Until that day, I'll be here, living in this freedom, carrying the weight of what I left behind. This is my life. The life of Han Jin-hyuk, former diplomat, defector, father. Freedom is not free. Someone always pays for it. Sometimes it costs everything. The people of North Korea deserve to know what it feels like to live without fear. They deserve this freedom too. I hope with everything I have that our generation sees the day when this peninsula is whole again, when I can hold my children, when I can tell my mother I'm sorry to her face. Until then, I'll keep speaking about what I saw, what I lived through, what I know. That's what I can do. That's what I have to do. Thank you for listening. And to everyone still in the North, don't let go of hope. We will meet again. One sky above us, one people.